Guys, in this topic, we are going to see a very important topic. Uh, most of you may not be knowing this topic, okay? So, but most of the developers, programmers, they come across these kind of situations when some kind of scenarios our application demands. During that time, we must have to use this particular mechanism. People used to call this mechanisms switch mechanisms or flag mechanisms, kind of things. And in that, uh, we are going to see one-time switch mechanism inside a loop. Okay. For example, what is meant by one-time switch? One-time switch. You all very well know about one-time password, right? One-time pin like that. So which means that switch here will work only one time. After that, the switch gets disabled. Okay, so what is that mechanism? How we are going to implement that inside a loop? Okay, so inside a loop, how to implement that? Okay, so that is what we are going to see it actually. Okay, and here, what is meant by one-time switch? Okay, this one-time switch is nothing but when a process is happening, okay, one by one a process is happening. So let's say an expression 1, and then expression 2, and then 3, like that we are having our process. So one by one, hold on, let me enable the page number, line numbers. Okay, so this expression 1, 2, 3, 4, in that I do not want to execute this particular expression. So this particular expression I do not want to execute. Okay, so which means if I do not want to execute these particular expressions, we can have a decision making statement called if. So if you put if and deliberately I stop this guy not to execute for one particular situation. Maybe when next time when the same expressions are executed, that time I want to execute this expression. Okay, so how to do these kind of things is matter. Okay, one more thing, one more scenario I would like to say. Inside a repeated expressions, for example, inside a repeated expressions, in the sense the only way is a loop. Okay, so inside a loop, these 4 expressions are there. Okay, in that 4 expressions, I want this expression to be executed only for the first time. Only for the first time I want to execute this expression. Okay, or I want to execute this particular expression only for the first time. But for the subsequent execution, this expression should not be executed. That is how the situation comes. Okay, so there we always go with the best option is we go with this one-time switch. Okay, so now we are going to see this in a programmatic way in Python. So let us write a loop. Okay, so let's go with some let's say some m. We run the loop for 10 times, which means n times. So here while of m, which means the loop runs for 10 times only if you use the modifying parameter like this n is always, right, very well. So n is a modifying parameter. So that n should reach 0 at one point of time. If it reaches 0 at one point of time, then obviously this particular condition will become false. If it false, then it will not enter into while loop. You all know very well about this, correct? Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Correct,
sir.
right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So how to, so since it is in a bigger number than 0, then we must have to obviously use decrementing expressions. So this is called a decrementing expressions. Since we are using bigger than 0, we have to use decrementing expressions. This also you all know very well. So now this loop at one point of time will stop. Yes, for example, print what is n, and so just this is at the line number 7. I'm just adding some kind of a statement where program ends here. Okay, so when I execute this, if you see, so from 10 it was printing till 1. Okay, so it means from 10 to 1, 10 times this print statement and this n minus equal to 1 statement got executed. Okay, so these line number 4 and line number 5 got executed for 10 times. This is a set of 10 times. As I said, inside these two expressions, I wanted to add one more expression where uh, see, like print n into 10. Okay, so print n into 10, and for the first time, let's say your program should not print 100. Apart from that, your program can print anything. So program should not print, maybe not print 81. Apart from that, it can print anything. Okay, so we all know that not 81, yeah, suppose 80. Okay, so assume your system should not print 80, whereas here actually your system will print 10, and then 10 into 10, 100. So 10 and then 100, and then 9 and then 90, and then 8 and then 80, and then 7 and then 70. So after 80 onwards, program should not print after 80. Okay, so you have to have a 10 to be printed with 100. For example, the output should be like this: 10 to be printed with 100, and then 9 to be printed with 90, and then 8 to be printed with 80. After that, only 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Only this particular thing you have to write it. Let me insert here, and this is your program. So this is your output. Okay, and in this output we have been writing our code like n equal to 10, and 10 when it comes 10, it's a true, and when it is true, then here that n get printed, the value stored in n get printed here. Okay, so now if it is 10, what it will be printing here? Divya, at line
Sir,
number, what it will be printing?
100. 100, sir.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you can mute your things. I think from some noise from you. Okay, so now it is 100. Yeah, of course, when 10 is printed, the next line is 100, and n minus the next line, next expression here is n minus equal to 1. So this decrements n. So it goes back to line number 3, where the n is 9. The 9 is now printed here. The 9 is a non-zero value. Since it is a non-zero value, it is Boolean true. Since it is Boolean true, it enters into while loop. Inside that while loop, there are 3 statements. Already in previous iteration 10 was printed, but this time it is 9, so 9 will be printed, and then here 9 into 10, 90 will be printed, and then here what it becomes? It becomes at line number 6, what it becomes? Anyone?
It will be decremented 9 to 8.
Yes. So n becomes 8. Okay. And next time 8. So here 8 comes, 8 gets printed, and here 80 gets printed. Okay. And now after that your n, which is 8, decremented to 7. So it goes here with 7 and 7 printed, and here 7 into 10, 70 should not be printed. So which means when n becomes 7 from that moment onwards, or when n becomes 8 from that moment onwards, this expression should not be considered. So for that only the solution called one-time switch is being implemented here. Okay, so here with the current program, if you run this, you will see 10, 100, 9, 90 till when it is 1, it prints 10. Then program ends here. But I do not want to print the 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. That is the requirement of this program. So how to do this one actually? Okay. So here the one-time switch mechanism I am going to implement here actually. This is the place I am going to implement this one-time switch. So this is the one-time switch place. Okay. So this one-time switch means, let's say like OTS 1. Okay, the OTS switch 1, one-time switch 1. Okay, so that initially I kept like true. Okay, I kept like a kind of a true. Okay, so if it is true, this statement can be executed. If this is false, this statement cannot be executed. But till the number 8, this statement will be executed. After 8, this statement should not be executed. So this is the place where you need to go with the decision making, and here the decision making statement is if, and then OTS, and then 1. So this is we may be using so many OTS in our bigger applications. So here actually we are using just only one switch with the ID number 1. So OTS underscore 1, if it is true, okay, if it is true, then it prints. When this becomes false, it will not be printed. So when this has to be false, okay, when this has to be false, for example, when I say at one point of time, OTS is false. Okay, so OTS of 1 should become false. When OTS become false, this will not be executed. Okay, but when this OTS want to be false, that is the important point here actually. So when this OTS 1 becomes false, your program will not get executed. So when this OTS n to be false, okay. So during such condition, okay, so here we need to write another condition, okay, which is nothing but if something, some condition, you need to write. When the condition occurs, this OTS will be false. So from that moment onwards, whenever your loop again it executes from statement 5, and it goes here actually, and then checks what is the one-time switch. That one-time switch is now false. So if it is false, then it will not go inside this at all. So now the $1 million question here is, okay, when to enable or switch or turn off the switch. Here actually already the switch is turned on. Here I am turning off by assigning false. If I turn off the switch, that moment onwards, it will not go inside this code at all. So that is a concept here. Okay. So now my question is, when this switch should happen? When this switch should happen? Okay, that is the condition I need to write it here. So Anand or Krishna is there? Krishna? Krishna, can you please unmute your mic and then tell me what condition can we write here?
Probably like when n reaches 8.
Yes, you are right.
We
when
can use
n
that.
reaches 8. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so yes, you are correct. So here the condition is, if n is equal to 8, then this particular moment onwards, your switch is turned off. In the sense that moment onwards, it cannot be turned on by your program. Okay, so from that moment onwards, your switch is turned off. So when we implement this, and then if you run it, you could see 10, 100, 9, 98, 87, 6, 5, 7, 3, 2. So this is a very layman example so that you will understand for a use case. Okay, but still we can also implement the solution in a different way. Like we just go with if the number is less than or greater than or equal to 8, then you execute this statement. That way also you can do a simple replacement for that expressions. But still some places, some kind of corner cases, you must have to do that. Okay, so that particular time, once you switch off the switch or switch on the switch, it depends upon your implementation. So this is called one-time implementation of your code. Okay, so so similarly, like in the actually out of this 10 to 1, I want only this 80 to be printed, which means that we can easily use, right? If n is equal to 8, then print this one, which means obviously we will be printing that. Okay, so that way also we can do. But here actually most of this one-time switch is like till some place we will be doing or we will not be doing. But after that place we will be doing or we will not be doing. So it depends actually. So that time this one-time switch mechanism helps. Okay, any doubt?
No, sir.
You may not see this one-time switch
Sir,
in most of your textbook
I'm
or
Divya.
any of your video. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yes.
10th line, I did not understand, sir. How it is changed? This
Yeah,
value.
see here actually OTS, I am assigning that as a false. If your OTS becomes false, next time all these statements will not be executed. Why? Because OTS is assigned as false. So when this OTS to be assigned as false, so this OTS to be assigned as false only when a decision making statement we need to use, only when n is 8. From that moment onwards, you should not print these particular expressions. To stop these expressions only, you are using switch mechanism. So this is your the switch mechanisms, implementation of your switch mechanisms. You need to initialize the switch mechanisms first as a true or false based upon your implementations or requirement. So here you must have to initialize, and then you need to have a conditional statement where to allow or where to not to allow. Okay, so when this allowing will be happening, when this switch is true, then only it will allow. So till this point you should allow, that is the requirement. So till which point? Till n is 8, you are allowing this guy. But when n becomes 8, you should not allow this guy. So when n becomes 8, that time OTS1 is assigned with false, which means next time when this decision making statement is comparing the value of the boolean, the whole condition becomes false. So it never ever will go inside this particular statement. See, this is a very small level, tiny example, but the power of using this one-time switch is more and more kind of useful when you are actually developing the applications. Okay, I hope
Okay, sir.
Divya, you
Now I
understood, right?
understood, sir. Yes, sir. Now I understood, sir. Thank you for the explanation.
No worries. So, see, actually, I hope everyone have submitted your assignments, right? Yesterday's assignments, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So